There's a rivalry for sure, because you want to win. You want to be the one.
Dr. Dirk Pajonk's
Watch it 10 times, watch it 100 times. Watch it as long as you start to sweat. I didn't have a javelin in my hand for 4 months, and I throw my personal best.
There's this question that I wanted to ask you since we met for the first time. How do you manage to look so young?
Yeah, do I look so young? I'm actually not really sure about that, to be honest. I follow kind of some strict protocols, health-wise, and for me, you know, not necessarily I have to look young, but I want to feel good, and I think that's more important, and my protocols help me to get there.
So let's dive into that. Let's talk about how does your typical day look like?
Yeah, so I'm a morning person. So usually during the week I wake up at 5 a.m. I kind of stand up immediately. I don't need the alarm clock. I just wake up naturally. I go down. I have water. Usually 2 big glasses of water, and then I meditate for usually half an hour. I do that, and that's the funny story, only in the week, not weekdays, not at the weekends. For what reason ever. I don't find the time in the weekends, but I always find the time during my work week. I love this time to meditate. I'm doing a very simple breathing meditation called Vipassana. I tried several, but that's for me the best. Usually then I journal, which takes me maximum 10 minutes.
Okay.
Having every morning a little shot of olive oil, because I love olives. I produce my own olive oil, which, you know, I'm into my olives, let's say it like that. Usually no breakfast. Very strict in supplements, I would say. Not too much, only fish oil, omega-3 and vitamin D, that's it. And then usually I go to work walking, which usually is about 45 minutes, or by bike, 20 minutes. So I try really to avoid the car in the morning. I want really some sunlight.
Okay.
Sunlight is hard in Germany.
Yes.
But at least you get, you know, the sunlight is there somewhere. So yeah, that's my morning routine. We work usually from, let's say, around about 7, 2 days a week. It's at 7 o'clock. 3 times it's 8, but usually I'm there around about 7 o'clock until 1. Then in my lunch break, usually I do sports. I go for a little run, around about an hour and a half, or I go to the gym. And if it's getting more warm, I'm happy on my bike.
Wow.
Then I have my first meal usually around about 2:30, 2:45, something like that. So other people call it intermittent fasting. So. And then go back to work at 3, and then from 3 to around about 6:30, something like that. Yeah, then going home, and I really do enjoy evenings. I love to cook or to get good food. However, so in the evenings I definitely eat, and I eat a lot.
Okay.
And I also eat sweets. So I eat. In the evenings I really do eat. I also, at the weekends, I enjoy wine. So I'm not strict or in my diet. I just really eat what I enjoy. But I look for good products. And then usually I love to go to bed early. So I really take care of my sleep. And early means, you know, I would say 40 years ago when my parents told me go to bed, right? I was really annoyed. And now if somebody tells me go to bed at 9:30, I go like, yeah,
Yes.
that's it. I really do love to go to bed early.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you don't eat till 2 o'clock, and you're seeing people during this period. Does it help you focus more on what they're saying, or does it make it more challenging?
Well, definitely not more challenging. My job is to help other people, so I want to be also in my best condition. I want to be focused. I really want to be there. So if I would feel that I have a lack of sugar, I definitely would eat. Definitely. So I wouldn't hesitate. And that happens sometimes, by the way. So I'm not like looking on my watch like, oh no, you can't eat now. It's just, also at the weekends I have breakfast because that's social. You know, it's with my children, with my wife, and you know, it's a happy time. But during the week, I feel that I'm better focused without breakfast. I'm not so keen on it, and also for lunch, it's most of the time a shake.
Oh, okay.
So it's not really no heavy food, and I'm really feeling good through the day.
Wow, that's amazing. You see people day in and day out. How can one develop very good listening skills? Because you need to really understand what their pain points are to solve their problems.
Well, first of all, you have to listen, right? So I think you can be the best at medical school, but you also have to love people, and you have to see that we are all different. We all cope pain, fear, all these things very differently, and we all have a different level of knowledge. So first of all, you have to listen. For me, one of the most important things, and on top of that, you also have to be aware of times, so you have to filter a few things out, and if you feel this person really needs time, you have to take the time. There shouldn't be a rush. Then, that's why people always have to wait at doctor's offices. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it's quite fast. But then, as an orthopedic surgeon, you filter out some, important facts. And then you can start your examinations and find out if that relates to what you think. So, very important in orthopedic surgery, first of all, listen, and second of all, really see a person, without clothes. You have to see what's going on.
Okay. I have noticed this, that most people are seeing themselves in different light than they see the world. And that is also true to about their problems. So how do you know when a person says, I have a pain here, or this is what is happening to me, but because they are seeing themselves in their own light, their judgment may not be the right one. And you as a doctor who is supposed to treat them, how do you make a call whether this person is delusional, to say nicely, or he's saying really he has a pain there?
Well, reality is kind of subjective, right? We all experience that here and there. So, how do you do that? First of all, if people take the time to come to a doctor, they have usually an issue. So they are worried, they have pain, they feel, they might only feel things. And first of all, you have to take that seriously, because otherwise people wouldn't make the effort to come. And then, we are so different. Some people are kind of disappointed when they don't get treatment. Other people want to know all the options and start slowly. So you also have to find out how severe is the problem the person is telling about. Sometimes you do your examination, you tell them, see, we did this and that, it can't be too serious. Sometimes, people have the fear that something is really wrong, so you suggest them to do, for example, an MRI, just to confirm that things are not that bad.
Okay.
You just have to deal with different people.
Okay. So that's all fine, but do you also have patients who go to Google and find out what symptoms they have and what is the cause and effect, all prepared, and come to you and then say, hey, you know what, this is my understanding and can you please confirm if it's right or wrong? Is that annoying to you when people come with...
No, it's absolutely not annoying.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I'm completely open for that. And, sometimes they are right. And the machines are getting better, as we all know. So, which is fine. But medicine always needs the human touch, I think.
Okay.
So, no, it's not annoying at all. What sometimes is difficult, especially for patients, so for my people coming there, they read something what went wrong with other people. Especially, you need a joint replacement or anything like that, and people start to read in the internet and they come, I read horrible stories. And my point then is always that most of the people going through these surgeries, they do very fine afterwards.
Okay.
Statistically, that's obvious. Do these people put notes in the internet? No, they live their lives. They are happy. They do what they wanted to do.
True.
The person writing comments about these things in the internet is unhappy. He's sitting there like everything went wrong. Boop, boop, boop. So sometimes people are so worried when they read all this stuff that it takes time to put it in the right picture and to just to go through evidence-based data. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And for a layman who doesn't understand the difference between an orthopedic and a regular doctor, can you explain to our audience what is the difference between an orthopedic and a sports orthopedic?
Well, I think it's quite close related. I have a strong sports background. We will most probably get there.
Sure.
So I love sports. You heard that before. I'm doing sports regularly. So after my active career, professional sports, I was a doctor in the track and field team of Germany. So I'm specialized on sports, I would say.
Okay.
So you go to medical school, you decide to get an orthopedic surgeon, and then on top of that you can focus on sports, which is not at university. It's just an extra curriculum you have to go through.
Does that mean that when the human body does train a lot for sports, it has completely different effects on it? Like I'm talking it from a general fear of overdoing a sport can erode your bones or affect it in an adverse way. Is this dumbfounded or is it really?
Well, professional sport is not always healthy, to be honest, right? So, and for sure you have more injuries. And we're talking here about professional sports and not about health sports. Very, very important, because I would suggest to everyone go do sports, because the benefits are much, much higher than not doing sports. So, yeah. But if the question was, can professional sports harm the body? The answer is yes, because you first of all have more injuries, and for sure you have a little bit of overuse here and there.
Okay. So that's a good segue to understanding how you got into sports and where it led you. Before we get there, I have a question for you related to the sport you were playing. For those of us like me who didn't know decathlon was a sport and not a store, could you explain how the sport is played?
Yeah. I did. You mentioned it, professional decathlon, which is a combined event in track and fields.
Okay.
So it's basically 10 disciplines going through 2 days. Well, should I mention all the disciplines? You want to hear them?
The ones which you played?
Well, you have to play them, all 10 of them. You can't avoid, because you get points, right? So for every event you get points. So the first day it's 100 meters dash. It's a long jump, shot put, high jump, 400 meters. And then you have a night rest and you do 110-meter hurdles, discus, pole vaulting. Then you do javelin and 1,500 meters at the end. Yeah, beautiful.
And how many years did you train to?
Well, you know, I used to play soccer, and somebody fouled me, and I got a broken leg, and that's how I ended up with track and field, because after that I had difficulties to tackle in the beginning, and then, you know, somebody saw me running and said, you want to come to track and field? And that's, you know, it happened by accident, kind of. And in my youth, you know, childhood and youth, I would say I was, we should interview one of my old teachers. I was an active child. I couldn't sit. I was really like full of energy. I was running non-stop, so when somebody asked me, get this in there, I stood up and run. I didn't walk. I was, you know, I just naturally run. That's how it happened. And then, you know, my coaches and we found out that it's not only running, it's also throwing and jumping. And then you slowly start a career. And I find, to be honest, decathlon is just a beautiful event, because it's not only that you have to do very different things and get it all combined to be good at the end. So it doesn't matter when you're the fastest runner, but you can't jump. You just have to get it all together. It's also that you, in every decathlon, you have a downside. So you think you trained everything so well, and then all by a sudden the shot put does not work the way you want it to work. And, you know, psychologically, you know, your dopamine most probably is dropping down, but you have to get up, because there's the next event and you want to score, and everyone has that. So yeah, it's a beautiful event, I have to say.
But at the end of it, if you have not achieved the results that you wanted to, does it push you into a sort of depression or
well, I
sadness?
would say that's life, huh? I mean, for sure, if you work for a goal and you don't get your goal, and you prepared it well, you're disappointed. But I think that's the story of sports, right? It can be more than, it's the story of life, but sports brings it to in a very short sequence. So it's really depending on how you take things. And you know, first of all, you have to find out why it did not work out, and then you have two options: leave it or work on it.
True. In a usual sport, the time period that you put in to the sport is quite limited. Might be 90 minutes or at best a couple of hours. But in this sport, it is 2 days. So how do you keep on, like, if you missed one thing in between, one sport has not gone according to your wishes, how do you keep up in the next one? Because that needs complete mind tricks to tell yourself you have to keep on going, even though when you know already that you have not won.
So, well, first of all, you always need a team around you. So you need someone you can trust, and you need someone who knows you, right? Who knows when you're down, and who knows when he has to just really be strict and push you, or when you just, you know, just need some help at some point. So you always need a good team, which is usually the coach, or, you know, it's not a team event, but we decathletes are a very close group. It's like family, because you all go through these 2 days. You train a lot. If you do these kind of sports, you really have to train a lot if you want to get to a good level, which means in the top times of my career, usually the sessions were in the morning and in the evening. It was 1 day off, that it was, you know, walking or running. but slow, but not intensive training. So you kind of know what you're doing, and I think that's also very important. If you are aware of what you prepare, then you can always fall back on that.
Okay.
Even if things are not working out when you warm up, you can always focus on how did that feel before. So. And
when you say team, other than the coach, who else? How many people were there in that team?
Well, the maximum amount of people going to international competitions, for example, Olympic Games or World Championships, is always 3 per country. But you have to fulfill a qualification, an amount of points for the qualification. So there were always 3 in my team, and so these were the athletes. But around you, when you work out at home, you have a whole bunch of people training with you. Not everyone has the luck to qualify, but you have a whole team, Okay. And then you have a coach. Okay. And then you have a national coach, and then you have sometimes you have someone who's doing especially pole vaulting with you. So and there are people around, people you trust, doctors, My biggest inspiration to get orthopedic surgeon was a doctor who helped me in my career. So, yeah, you have a lot of good people around there.
Certainly. Yeah. So, talk us through about how you got to represent Germany in the Olympics. Can you talk more about that journey?
Yeah. Kind of also interesting because it's a lot about visualization. I believe a lot in these in these things that they can help. So I started track and field when I was 15, 16, and then you feel that it can get better and improve. And then in '92, so it's all about points. For every event you get points, and if you do 8,000 points at the end, it's getting to a level where you can achieve really good goals. Let's say it like that. So in 1992 in Barcelona, I was the 4th best of Germany, but only the 3 best go.
Okay.
And then my focus went on Atlanta because I always dreamt. It was really a big dream. One time getting German champion and one time competing in the Olympic Games. And the funny thing is, it started when I was watching TV, I think when I was 15 or 16. It's just one of these dreams. So in 1993, I competed in the European Championships, which was good. And then I got a kind of bad injury. So in 95, I had knee surgery. So it was kind of close. And I started to put Post-its in my apartment these days. So I was at medical school doing both things parallel. So I figured out when the decathlon of the Olympic Games 1996 is. I think it was the 31st of August, 1st September. I'm not sure about that. But I put Post-its all around. And it was in the German language OZ, which means Olympic Zehnkampf, Olympic Decathlon, with the dates. Okay. And I was absolutely focused on that. It was just, and I believe in these kind of things. I love these kind of things, It's, in sports, you learn a lot about visualization. If I can make a little excursus, I had an injury where I couldn't throw javelin, for example. And my coach, I love this man. He presented me in these times. It's not a DVD. What was it?
CD. VHS.
No, VHS, yeah. Exactly. And he did a very old kind of teaching movie from the Olympic Games 72 in Munich in javelin. And it was in black and white. And he did it on VHS through these even older films. And he said, watch that. And watch it 10 times. Watch it 100 times. Watch it as long as you start to sweat. And I thought, he's nuts. I was young, I start to watch it. And then, you get into that and you start to, you close your eyes in the evenings when you watch this 100 times, in slow motion, black and white, from the side, from the back, from the front, like all these movements. You close your eyes, you see this guy. And at one point, you start to sweat. So anyways, I didn't have a javelin in my hand for 4 months, and I had a qualification competition, and I throw my personal best.
Wow.
And it's, I strongly believe in these things. Visualize things, be aware of your goals, don't forget your goals. And sometimes you need help with post-it, because in the daily routines you might forget your goals, but believe in your goals.
Wow, that's a powerful message. No. So before this, we were talking about how you were in a team of 3, top 3 to compete, to qualify for Olympics. How does that dynamic work? If you're in a team where only 3 of you are going to go to be qualified in a certain level, and does it create a certain rivalry, or how do you help each other or work against each other?
Well, there's a rivalry for sure, right?
Okay.
So you can't avoid that, because you want to win. You want to be the one.
Yeah.
I love these guys, but at the end, I worked for my goals and they worked for their goals. The rivalry doesn't mean that I dislike this person or anything like that. It's just, we all want to get our goals. And one more time, that's the nice thing about decathlon. It's not about you're the best thrower or the best runner. It means at the end you have to have your points.
Okay.
So that's why we all stick together, and for sure we are also rivals.
Okay. Has that taught you how to deal with people in difficult situations?
I think so. So, for sure it always helps you to move on, even in difficult situations, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then coming back to your time when you were training for this sport, at the same time studying to become a doctor.
Yeah.
I believe to become a doctor in general needs a lot of reading and focus, and at the same time practicing for a professional sport.
Yeah.
It seems impossible. Where did you find time to do both of them together?
To be honest, I don't know. I really don't know. I was not like in high school. I wasn't a good student because I was kind of, I would say, hyperactive. And then, I went to the army. We had to go at that time to the army, and I went into something which is called, it's a sports area where professional athletes can still work. And I was wondering what to do with my life, So in my family, no one's a doctor, and so I had some times before I went to medical school to watch also different things. At the end, it was like, am I doing law or am I doing medicine? And I also, because of sports, I decided for medicine. And the moment I decided that, I was much more focused. And the moment I decided that, also my sports career made a twist into more professionality. And if you want to do that, you really have to be organized. Otherwise, you can't do that. If you ask me how I get all my exams together, sometimes I really don't know exactly. I had also there a very good social network. So because, sometimes I was working out, training, and a guy called me and said, listen, they called you, you have to be here. So I went there in my sports dress, like, I'm here. But I was kind of good in reading things and memorize them and then reproduce them when needed. So.
And I guess it was true for your time as well, where you were slogging to become a doctor and playing this professional sport. There were other fields who, like engineering, for example, informaticas, who finished their education quite early than you and already started making money. Does that create a kind of a social pressure or self-doubt to ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? Because everybody seems to be happy and kind of having money and traveling the world.
But to be honest, first of all, with my sports, I traveled the world.
Yes, you did.
What a luxury, right? And I didn't even have to organize it myself. So it was all organized. Beautiful, really, just a beautiful time. Then, in this age, it's also nice to go to university and meet people, and I also think you should do what you love. And if you decide, I want to do that, I think 2 years, they don't matter. Really not. And on top of that, maybe I'm not typical in that case because I didn't get rich with sports, but I could finance my studies with that. I could finance to go to school, to medical school.
Okay. Before this interview, in another conversation, you mentioned to me that there was a time in your life when you gained a lot of weight and reduced. If you can share with us what led to that weight gain and how did you overcome that challenge?
Yeah, I mean, after 96, I continued doing decathlon, and my dream was to compete in the next Olympics in 2000, which were in Sydney. And short before the qualification, I had a torn muscle. So, and I knew that was kind of the end of my sports career. And I was really frustrated about that because I kind of worked this 4 years only, just to qualify, to get to this event. And that's, I think, the hard part of an individual sport. If you get an injury, you're just out. There's not a team that supports you, or you have the time to let it heal and then do it all over again because you can't do that much. So that was really deeply frustrating. And I did a lot of mistakes in that time. So I decided to stop sports, but still eat the same amount of things. So, which was yummy. And most probably on top of that, I didn't look at the quality of the food. So it was more, you do all these things you try to avoid when you're professional. So you have your junk food, you have chips, you do all these kind of things which are just not smart. Yeah, and I gained almost 60 pounds.
Wow.
So 30 kilos in this period. And I didn't feel good. I noticed it when my children were still young, so we went to a children's doctor, and he put him on a scale, and the boy was 16 kilos or something like that, I don't know. And afterwards we went to a pharmacy, and there was a scale. I went on the scale, and it was just, it was horrible. And I thought, that's wrong, that can't be. So I put the child on again, and it was still 16, so I knew something has to happen. And then when, I tried to switch that, and that was just the next big mistake, because I was working in a hospital. I had 3 little boys at home, and I pushed my career on the medical side, and because I didn't want to have so much weight, I decided I will do intensive sports again. And I kind of started, I thought I can start where I stopped, which brought me, I think, to the only pneumonia I ever had in my life. So I overdid without preparing, kind of. And then, then I decided, okay, you have to do things differently. And I started to write down what amount of movement is good for me. I started to write down, what are you eating? I started to write down, what is your amount of sleep? I just, I just got kind of nerdy in my daily routines.
And when was this? Which year?
That must have been most probably 2002, 2004, something like that, around about that time.
Before the era of apps and everything, so it
Exactly.
was really,
Exactly.
it takes, discipline to do those things.
Yeah, but I was never kind of, we didn't have that smartphones these times where you can write it. No, I wrote down things. I believe in writing, I really do believe in handwriting. Also about sports, right? So in my career, I wrote down, just an example. I wrote down how I felt and how the movement was when I did, for example, shot put. And then the next year, shot put didn't work. So I took my book from the year before and was reading, what did you do to prepare to feel like that? I find that extremely helpful. Handwriting is always super good.
Wow. So did that lead you to write a book then?
No, the book was also really by accident, by chance, because I used to do speeches in companies, business companies, about decathlon, because I think it's the best example you can have also for companies, right? You have very, very different things. It's like sales and controlling, shot put and 100 meters dash for me is like sales and controllers, and you have all these conflicts. So how do you manage to get it all together? So I held these speeches. Then I decided to bring in also examples of where I completely failed. What did I do wrong? Gaining weight, stress, the stress level with young family, all these kind of things. And I decided to bring that also to my talks. And there was a publisher listening to me, and he asked me, could you imagine doing a book out of that? That's how it happened. So I was lucky.
I guess that book is, what is the name of that book?
Entspannt gewinnt, which means to be relaxed will win. Yeah. Yeah.
But there is another very interesting book that you wrote, which is How to Stay Young Forever, which initially started our conversation in your office.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you happened to write that book?
Well, the title of the book is ambitious, I have to say, right? Basically, what I want to say is that we all know a lot. If you inform yourself about health, you know about the benefits of sports, you know about the benefits of, to regulate your stress level, to have enough sleep, you know all these kind of things. But sometimes we need a book, a mentor, somebody who's pushing us in the right direction. And that, I think, if you have health-wise, if you're reflected health-wise, and you start to have a protocol for yourself, which fits you and no one else, you can do a lot of things in terms of anti-aging.
But how do people find that fit for themselves? Do you have any tips for them?
Well, get my book. No, it's that's in German language, which for an international audience is kind of difficult. No, first of all, it won't work if you don't work. It's something you have to do, and you really have to want, and you have to go through that journey, right? And then, second of all, don't stress yourself. So if you decide, I want to really do something, you get the information wherever. And if you think you can't get the information in books or online or whatever, you go to a gym or to a sports doctor or, wherever. You should always go to a doctor before starting sports, but you will find someone. And there are so many things you can do. It's not about all running or biking or, I'm not pole vaulting anymore. And I'm not stressing my body only if I want to. It should be fun.
But now the problem is not on the side of information scarcity. There is abundance of information, and everything and everyone says so many things. It becomes extremely hard to decide, okay, should I run or how should I approach this? So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah.
How can people...
It's true. I mean, if you look online, you can go crazy, because there are also sometimes, you know, especially in terms of diet, if you look, sometimes you're like, wow, that's really, no, go to your general doctor.
Oh, okay.
And let your heart check, and then ask friends, and go maybe to a professional gym, get a PT, book him for maybe 10 sessions or 5 or whatever you can afford, and then, or you want, and then tell him exactly what you want. What is your goal? You know, in my age, or let's say over 35, around 40, no one needs to compete, I think. There is no need to be, you know, to do it in high intensity. Why? You want to do it to feel good, to be healthy. So go to someone, explain exactly what you want to achieve. I want to lose weight, I want to have a six-pack. You know, I think the six-pack is just, as a matter of fact, comes with the sports, but the main goal shouldn't be the six-pack. The main goal should be, I want to be healthy and feel good.
Yeah. Coming back to the part where you mentioned you gave corporate talks or talks to different companies, how did you land up there? Because that seems far away from your profession.
Well, I don't recall. It's just when you, really, I don't recall. It was a beautiful time, I have to say, also to give these talks, because you get insights in all kind of different businesses. But I think when you kind of start to get successful, people start to recognize you and notice you. And then by chance you meet someone who's interested in you, and he talks to you and he thinks, why not taking him for my company?
Yeah.
So it happens naturally, I would say. But I didn't force it. It's just, I don't even recall where it started. No idea.
You have done a wide variety of things, like being in sports, being a doctor, and public speaking. Also many other things, like writing a book. What more frontiers are left to conquer, and where do you see yourself going?
And that's an interesting question, right? And the funny thing is that it goes back to sports.
Okay.
Because I believe that if you do these kind of professional sports, or if you get in this age professional in music, it builds up the whole architecture of your body and your mind. That's what I really do believe. So my challenges, so where do I want to go? First of all, to be honest, I want to be a good father.
Okay.
That's, I really do love my boys, and they are all on school. One is doing medical school now. And you never stop being a parent, right?
Yeah.
If you ask me professional, first of all, I want to stay fit. I do kind of 6-7 days a week my sports. Also interesting. You can. I'm going somewhere else, but I never leave my office during the work days before I've done at least 150 push-ups.
Wow.
So between every 15-20 minutes, I'm doing 25-50 push-ups. So through the whole day, it counts up. Anyways, where do I want to go? I guess I can't imagine myself stop working. If you ask me how I want to work, I would love to be, maybe in 10 years, 5-10 years, I would love to be able to work also from different places. So not based only, because as a doctor with your own office, you're based at one place. People come to your place. And I could imagine myself working kind of from different places. I love to travel.
On that note, what do you think about this whole revolution of generative AI and the new wave of technologies where people have been cloned and they have been used to perform different things. To be more precise, do you see yourself in a future where all your knowledge, your touch of treating a patient is been somehow replicated in a bot, and that is talking to people on your behalf in different places? Like you want to be in different location, but what if you could be in all locations at the same time? Have you thought about this?
Well, yeah, sure. Westworld, huh? Brave new world. Anyways, no, this year, beginning of this year, there was a course, online course, MIT, about AI in medical healthcare. I was really investigating if that is something for me, but it turns out that it was more on the, I think more on the organization side. No one could tell me exactly. I believe that AI is strong. And I think that it's very helpful for doctors, very, very helpful. Because if you put all the knowledge together and really, sometimes you have things where you just don't know, right? AI will help us with that. So I love that, and I'm really investigating on putting more effort in that because, yeah, very important step for the future. But when it gets to the human touch, I think it's important. Get maybe the knowledge, or with the help of AI, get the right diagnosis, but then it needs the human touch. So if you go a step further, if you think of, well, what if we get to a point where we don't know if this something in front of us is human or not human, I think we should be really careful with that. I think it's very important that we always are aware if a machine is talking to us or a real human.
Let me dive a bit more deeper into that. Let's say, like right now you have ChatGPT, right? Instead of that, we have Dr. Dirk as a bot who I can ask anytime, hey, my arm hurts or my leg hurts, and it gives me really great answers because it's based on your knowledge. And people go on the internet and write a review. Dr. Dirk, he's fantastic. He solved all my problems. Does that give you some sort of imposter syndrome that, okay, it's based on my knowledge, but it's not really me?
I think to get the best knowledge together and put it in a machine, but it always has to be proven, right? If we see ChatGPT now, it writes beautiful essays about everything, but you have to check, because if you look up ChatGPT, Dirk Pajonk, it might bring out the doctor or the decathlon, but sometimes it brings somebody completely different out. So no, it's strong. AI is strong in every sense, because one more time, if you get everything we humans know and you give in symptoms and you find the right answer, that's brilliant. But to bring this answer from the machine to a human, I think it needs also a human.
Why is that?
Because medicine is a lot about empathy. You don't do a due diligence. It's not technical. You have somebody who has emotion. ChatGPT has no emotion. If you ask ChatGPT, do you have emotion? It will answer no. The same will be with a bot telling you a diagnosis. But it's always related to emotions. And I think, what makes us unique is to be conscious, to be warm, to have empathy, to support. And I strongly believe that no machine, hard to answer, but what is consciousness? Anyways, I think especially in medicine, it's very important to feel this, this emotion empathy and warmth.
So what would you advise somebody who is just starting in the medical field, especially being an orthopedic? How do they be more empathetic, or how do they overcome this fear of technology right now? Because they see around them they're working really hard, but are not very certain about when they go and practice, they will not be replaced by machines. What do you have to say to them?
Well, fear of technology does not help anyways. I think we should reflect what the technology is doing, but we should be open to try it out, because usually it's helpful. Usually what we do as scientists also is helpful. So the technology is there to help us, and it's not a threat, I think. And so far what I know is still there has to be someone who is ruling the technology, and that will be a medical doctor. I'm pretty sure about that. And as I said, I think as long as we are dealing with from human to human, we should have the empathy, and we should be aware that our job is about dealing with other humans, which might have a different background, but still are there because they have pain, fear, whatever, and we are the ones who should deal with that.
Okay.
And everyone who's going to medical school should be aware of that.
And the last question is, what role does family play in one's career, and how do you find the balance between hobbies, family, and aspirational career?
Well, I think you see me smiling because I love my family. I love my wife, and as I said, I love my boys. They are the joy of my life. That's how it is. I would say family first. If somebody needs you, you have to be there for them. I found it in my career, I found it difficult the time the children were small, because you know how it feels, right? So you work, but you have all these issues with these sweeties, right? With these children, and in that time I found it hard to find time for myself. I think it's an extreme challenge. So how do you do that? I still have hard times not to be there when family is there. So I tried it on a daily basis, and I try to do, for example, my sports, my stress release, which was sports, in the early morning. But I always tried to be there for at least the dinner together. I find that extremely important. How do you do that? You have to compromise, right? You have to find the right balance, and you have to, you have to figure that out with your partner. Thank you. Those are really nice and wise words that we hope to learn something from that. Thanks a lot for coming on the podcast. It was a pleasure talking to you. It was a pleasure for me. Thank you so much. Thank you.